There are moments in life when everything seems silent, when pain becomes your only companion, and hope seems like a distant memory. Have you ever felt forgotten, abandoned, like the world is going on without you? This is the story of a man living in the shadow of illness and rejection until one encounter changed everything. It wasn't wealth, power, or medicine that saved him, but something deeper, something eternal. Join us on this magical journey of pain, hope, and healing, where a little desperation led to a life changed forever. And leave something you want to say to God by leaving a comment. God will listen to your words. Like and subscribe to the channel to learn more. He'd been sick for as long as he could remember. Every morning, he woke in the dark, with pain wrapped around his body like a prison. People passed him by with silent pity or cold avoidance. Some whispered that he was cursed, forsaken by God. He sat alone on the side of the dusty road, blind, forgotten, invisible. The world went on, and he remained, waiting. In his silence, memories flickered like fading light, the laughter of childhood, the joy of running freely through the fields, his mother's arms. But the disease had come like a thief, stealing everything. Now, all he had was the sound of his footsteps passing by and the faint cry of his heart. Lord, if you were there, would you see me? Would you answer me, even once? His face, calloused by years of rejection, no longer begged. Yet his eyes, though blind, were still turned toward the distant sound of hope. Somewhere deep inside, beneath the sadness and shame, there was still a glimmer of light, a yearning, a fragile, unspoken hope that maybe, just maybe, a miracle might still find him. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low, casting golden shadows across the dust-covered streets, he heard something different. A stirring, a rising wave of voices, footsteps, excitement, life. The air around him shifted. People were running, calling out, their voices filled with awe and hope. Did you hear? He's here! The teacher, the healer, the one they called Jesus. His heart skipped. Jesus, the name whispered on the lips of so many. The man who healed the lame, gave sight to the blind, touched lepers without fear. The one people said came from God. He strained his ears, his whole body leaning into the sound. A new feeling rose in him, not fear, not doubt, but yearning. Deep, desperate yearning. Without thinking, he struggled to his feet. His legs trembled beneath him, unused to strength, but his faith held him up. He began to move forward, slowly at first, then quicker, driven by a force greater than pain, hope. The crowd was thick. People pressed from every side. He stumbled. Someone pushed him back. Another shouted at him to move aside. He fell hard, the ground cutting into his palms. But he did not stop. He crawled through the dust, heart pounding, whispering one silent plea. If only I could touch him, just the hem of his robe. Surely I would be healed. Pain pulsed through him, but it was different now. Not the pain of despair, but of pursuit. His soul was reaching, stretching past shame and fear, toward one final chance at wholeness. And then, he felt it. The edge of a robe brushed against his fingers. Time seemed to stop. Suddenly, he felt warmth shoot through his body. Not like heat from the sun, but something holy, gentle, yet overwhelming. His limbs no longer trembled. His heart no longer raced in fear, but beat in perfect rhythm with peace. And then he heard it. A voice, strong, tender, unmistakable. Who touched me? The crowd fell silent. Some scoffed. Master, everyone is touching you. But Jesus stood still. He turned, his eyes scanning the crowd, not with anger, but with love. The man froze. 1,000 fears churned in his chest. He wanted to run, to disappear, but something in that voice held him, called him closer. Then those eyes met his own, eyes that had seen creation before time began, eyes that held no judgment, only compassion. Jesus stepped toward him. Do you want to be healed? The man trembled. His voice cracked like dry earth. Lord, if you want, you can make me clean. Jesus knelt beside him, not hesitating, not retreating. He reached out and touched him. I want to be healed. In that instant, everything changed. The weight of sickness lifted. Years of suffering vanished. His legs strengthened. His heart soared. And then, light. For the first time he saw the faces around him, the blue of the sky, the light dancing through olive trees. But nothing was as radiant as the face of Jesus. Tears poured down his cheeks. His hands covered his face in disbelief, then reached out to the one who had changed everything. Jesus smiled gently, almost as if to say, "You were never forgotten." The man fell to his knees, not because of weakness, but in worship, his heart overwhelmed with gratitude. He tried to speak, to thank, but the words dissolved into sobs. The crowd stared in awe. Some wept, others whispered in amazement. But all knew. They had witnessed something holy. The man rose slowly, dust still clinging to his robes. But something radiant surrounded him now. He was no longer an outcast, no longer a damned one. He was healed, whole, seen, loved. Jesus turned to leave, but before he walked away, he said one last thing, a whisper just for him. Your faith has healed you. Go in peace. It wasn't his eyes that led him to healing. It was his faith. In the midst of the darkness, in the depths of pain, he believed. And that faith brought him to Jesus. Sometimes all it takes is a reaching out, a trembling hand, a whispered prayer, a step through the crowd to find the miracle that awaits us. He walked through the crowd, but not as he once did. No longer hunched over by shame or lost in silence. Now, his steps were steady, his eyes were open, his face shone with peace. People stared in amazement. Some gasped, others wept. And he smiled, not with pride, but with deep, overwhelming gratitude. I was blind, but now I see, he told them. I was hopeless, but now I live. He didn't just walk with healed legs. He walked with a renewed heart. He greeted those who once turned away and embraced those who once pitied him. He no longer needed to explain or defend. His transformation spoke louder than words. A man once forgotten now became a living testimony of mercy. People used to call him cursed, abandoned, a man abandoned by God. But today, he knew the truth. God never left, not for a moment. And if you are going through pain, sickness, or despair, know this. Jesus is near, not to condemn you, but to heal you. He looked up at the sky, his eyes filled with light, his heart filled with purpose. For the first time in his life, he was whole. Surely he has borne our pain and carried our sorrow.